Hello, my loves. Hello. Welcome back to all of my beauties and babes of a certain age. I think that's what I'm going to stick with. I kind of like that. My name is Kim Whiters. This channel is called Be Youthfully You. Be Youthfully You is all about life over 50. It is about choosing who you want to be, how you want to live with no apologies. Absolutely none. Now, let's get into it. Today's topic, I want to talk about life over 50. What does that look like? So, based on what society's standards have always been, people have always felt like, oh, when you turn 50, you need to stop trying to be cute and you need to stop trying to, wear anything that's trendy and you need to stop doing this and stop. And I find that interesting because of the fact that in more ways than a few, honey, life over 50 is when life really begins. Like literally, over 50 became so much more freeing to me. I thought that 40 had something to say. Baby, when I tell you over 50 came through and kicked the door in, and she was like, listen, I really don't care about what nobody got to say. I don't care about what they think, feel, believe, what their thoughts are, their opinion. Like, they can keep all of that to themselves. All of it. Because for one, I'm not soliciting. See, over 50 truly gives you that point of freedom where you really do not give a at all. You don't care at all. You think you don't care now. Girl, just wait till you hit 50. Wait till you hit 50, friend. I promise you, it's going to look and feel real different. And it's truly because of the fact that you've already experienced so much in your earlier life. Like, we go all the way back from childhood, right? So I think about the things I did when I was a little girl. So I had to make my mother happy for the first 20 years of my life. Literally, I had to make my mother happy because it was all about what mama said, mama did. I did not grow up with my father. But so it was all about my mama. What my mama said, that was the law. That was what it was. That's what it was. It doesn't matter what anybody said. God, I knew my mama first. Then I got to know God. As I got older, then I got to know God. And then my mother. So that's another topic for another day. But everything that I learned from my mother, right? Then as I got to be older, right? So you think, oh, when you reach 21, woo, you outside, honey, you could do whatever you want to do. No. No. I am the child of a baby boomer. Both my parents were baby boomers. Now, being honest, my dad did not have as much input as my mother did because I really did not know my dad when I was younger. However, what Peggy said, again, like I told you, was the law. That was what it was. It don't matter what nobody else said, what they thought, what they felt, whatever. What did mama say? So my whole entire life was built around what my mom said. So 20s, again, I raised my kids, based on what my mother taught me, all the things. Then when I hit my 30s, it was like, okay, by then I had been married a few years and all of that stuff like that. But still, I spent a lot of time with and around my mother. What it was that my mother said was still kind of what it was that I did. I still sought her opinion in everything that I did, right? So it was still primarily a little bit of freedom because I knew that I can go to my own house. Like, I ain't got to sit at mama's house just because she said something. I started to actually explore the fact that, mama, I don't agree with that. Like, I don't like that. Like, I never got into an argument with my mother. Never. Oh, again, a baby boomer. See, the only reason I still got all these teeth and they straight, I did not try Peggy. I did not try my mother. No, ma'am. So the 30s were for growth, right? And then as I got to be, like I said, a little older, I realized that I could kind of keep my distance a little bit. Like I didn't have to, like every single day, every single week, it did not have to do that. I still talk to my mom every day for a very long time. Every single day I talk to my mom. And then, like I said, it started to get a little older and a little older. Because at that time, my then husband was a truck driver. So I, would talk to him in the mornings and stuff like that. So things were a little different. So again, like I said, once I hit 40, I thought I stopped, honey, I don't care, you really just don't care, and I had always thought that. And then it's like, you kind of get to a point where you see that. So it's like my 40s, I was like, let me just go back for a minute. I remember in my 30s, y'all, when I didn't even own a pair of jeans. I promise you. And I know y'all think, wait a minute, Kim, what? Hold up. You? Yes, honey, me. Your girl did not even own a pair of jeans because I was so busy being them kids' mama, his wife, her daughter. I was not Kim. I was they person. They owned me. And then on the weekends, I had some sweatsuits. And that was it. But they used to call me, I used to work at Sears at the ASC here in Atlanta. And when I tell you that I was Diva Kim, that's what they called me. Because it was head to toe. Everything matched. Let me take y'all back. Do y'all remember when twin sets became really popular in like the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s? Baby, I had every color. I had the mock twin set with the mock sweater, looked like you had the top and the skirt to match. Oh yes, baby. Mother had every one of them. I had all of the colors, patterns, prints. I had all of it. Earrings, the hair, like everything, nails. Like I've always been this person, always. It was just who I've always been. It's like it's in my DNA. It's in my DNA. And every single day she was together every day because I enjoy it. Not even so much of I put on for anyone. I enjoy getting dressed. I enjoy getting dressed. I love being pretty. I always have. My mother would tell me about how my grandmother, when we lived in the location where we used to live when I was little, her and my grandmother would be writing letters because, of course, this was the 60s and the 70s. So there was no, phone and letter. That was it. Carrier pigeon. So my grandmother, I have a letter that my mother wrote to my grandmother. And my grandmother had sent so much stuff to me. And my mom was talking about, she said, honey, Miss Kim's closet. Miss Kim's closet. So I've always had all of this stuff, right? I've always had like a lot of clothes and shoes and the things and bows and all of that. So again, it's just what it's always been. So my 30s, yes, girl, she was always together. Always, always, always together. Matching from head to toe. Matchy, 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 as my daughter began to tell me. She said, Mama, you don't have to be so matchy, matchy all the time. Shout out to Kier. She said, Mama, you just really. And I remember my daughter telling me one day, she said, Mom, you really need to diva down. What? What does that look like? Because if I diva down, then that means I'm not going to look like. And then I started to kind of think about it. And I remember looking in my closet. Y'all. And I've always been one of those people. I switch out my closets for the season, right? Because I have so much stuff. I've just always had a lot of stuff. I do love clothes and shoes. That's my vice. And when I looked in my closet, y'all, I would have things by color. It would be basically by style, like the short sleeve, the long sleeve. It would be that. It would be the sweaters. I had stuff from Chadwick's of Boston. If you know, you know. Jessica London, yes, girl, I was her. They were the first ones that start doing, it wasn't known as Klarna or anything like that or Afterpay, but that's really what it was. Baby, they would give you 90 days to pay for that stuff. Yeah, they would. I remember that, baby. And when I tell you I would get mine, I definitely had my share of that. And I loved them for that. I did. Because I was the sweaters girl and the blazers and the skirts and the things and honey, the shoes, the boots. Like I said, well coordinated. But my child is telling me that I need to diva down. What does that look like? I bought my first pair of jeans. I remember we had this place called Simply Fashion. And I bought this. It was pink and it was like a pink faux leather on denim. It was so cute. It was a little set, of course, duh. And I thought it was cute. So that was the only thing that I had for a long time. But of course, it was still a set. But I realized, it made me start to realize, I don't have just like jeans and a top to just put on. I didn't have that. I didn't have that. And so I went to Stewart's. What used to be Stewart's here. They had Stewart's and Stewart's Plus. So I went from Stewart's and Stewart's Plus to what had become Ashley Stewart. So they had changed the name, baby. They had rebranded. This is when Ashley Stewart first rebranded. For the plus size girls, when Ashley Stewart rebranded, baby, they came out. I'm talking about they came out swinging. It was like, baby, who is this? Who is this? Honey, listen. I was in there because they still had layaway, y'all. So the layaway is what would allow you to go ahead and put something on hold. For those of you who don't know, like, what is layaway? Layaway would allow you to put that thing on hold for 30 days. Go in there and put a little coin on it, put something down. They would give you like 30 days. I can't remember if this was 30 days or 60 days. But they would give you 30, 60 days to pay it off again. But you had to at least make a payment at least every 30 days, right? So, especially if you saw something you really wanted. So, I started going in there and I started picking up a pair of jeans or two. And it was cute. Mama, it was cute. I liked it, Mikey. I liked it. It was interesting. I was like, well, all right then. So then Ashley Stewart became my place to shop. Now, around that time, I was about a size 16, 18, somewhere in there. So my weight loss journey has been a lot. And again, that's another story, another topic, another day. But they had the things for the girls. Now, no shade to Lane Bryant, but they weren't hidden like Ashley Stewart was. They weren't. It just was what it was. They needed to rebrand too at that point in time because they kind of had the things that my mother and my grandmama and them used to wear. So certain kinds of pants, certain kinds of tops, certain kinds of things. That's okay if that's who you were. But that was not who I was. Ashley Stewart, baby, she had the jeans, she had the tops, she had the halter tops that were made a certain kind of way, maybe just a tube top that kind of gave what's called like a bubble, like we call it the bubble effect now. So it can kind of cover up that part where you might be a little heavy at things where you could move it around and cover it up the way they couldn't see it. Baby, beautiful, vibrant colors and patterns, and it was still youthful. Like that was one of the biggest things. It was still very youthful, and it made me feel pretty. It made me feel current, and it made me feel alive, And I started to see Kim a little bit. Kim started to hop out a little bit. She did. She started kind of like, girl, wait a minute, hold on. She started peeking through the blinds. I was like, okay, ma'am. So we started to reformulate this thing over here. We started to recalibrate. And you know what I'm saying? We had a different marketing strategy at that point. And marketing strategy in the sense that who I wanted to present myself to the world as. That was what I started to do because I had I had really gotten lost in being his wife, their mother, her daughter, a big sister. I did. I had gotten lost in that and not even realizing that I was actually lost. I just thought this was life, So I come to find out, like I said, just on this part of this journey right here, I was like, I kind of like this. This is fun. This is fun. This is fun. I like it. So I continued in pursuit of finding me. So by that time I had then kind of gotten on into my 40s a little bit. Started to see things a little differently. Started to see things a little differently. Had been through quite a bit in my marriage. Quite. Girl, we're going to have a cocktail to that one. Not a mocktail, but a mocktail, if that's what you need, that's fine. But we're going to have a cocktail to that one, girl. That's conversation. Without giving a lot of details, but it's a conversation because it's part of my journey, right? So, I started to kind of unpack the box a little more. You know, I had to pull the tape off the box. I had to took a peek inside, pull the flaps back, start to look inside to see what was in the box. You know, and there were still some very, very good pieces of life that was still in that box that I had not even realized was available to me because I wasn't seeking that. Like, I just wasn't seeking it. Like, I've never been one of those people that, I got to be outside all the time. Like, I've never been that. And if you talk to my children today, they will tell you, no, my mama was at home. I just was always at home, that's just what I chose to do. It was not that anyone even made me. I can't say that that's what I was made to do. I just was always at home. I was available for them. They were my life. Them, my husband, that was my whole entire life. And like I said, my mom, going to sit at my mama's house all day. Every Saturday, get up Sunday, go to church, get out of church, go back, sit at my mama's house some more, go home. That was my life. But it was a choice. It was not what anyone made me do. So there's the difference. So back to the subject at hand. I started to really find me, right, in my 40s. That did not work too well for my current marital situation. Let's just say that. And just kind of in discovering that, we were in a very tough place in our financial situation. And again, like I said, without going into too many details, and it kind of that and just a series of things that had happened over the years and stuff like that. I was tired. And I just didn't even want this no more. It's like the more I tried, it's like I was praying. I hadn't prayed about it. I hadn't fasted about it, everything. And it was like literally God was giving me the answer. However, I just kept saying, I was trying to make sure that it was clear, quote unquote, and that I was doing things right because I did not want to do or make a move on my own or of my own thoughts. Because again, my thoughts are not his thoughts and his ways aren't my ways. So knowing and understanding that, that's what made me, I just kept, okay, God, is that a deal breaker? Okay, is that a deal breaker? So I kept questioning what was literally being presented right in front of me. But again, we're digressing. So by the time I was 42, the decision had been made and it was obvious. And not that I felt or thought anything about, I just knew that this right here was not going to work anymore. Like I was tired. We had been together over 20 years and I just was tired of this roller coaster. I was tired of this roller coaster, right? So all of that to say, this is what just started to bring me to, okay, who it is that I really am. Honey, the awakening. The awakening. By then, 2 of my children had already left the nest. My baby was 12. And I had the decision to make about my life. I had a decision to make about my life and what it is I wanted to do with my life. How I wanted to live and what really made me happy. What did I need at that point in my life? Because I had did it for everyone else. I had did it for everyone else. Now I want to do it for me. I want to do it for me. And I got this boy. Okay. I still got this boy that I got to take care of. So it's always been very important to me what my children saw because I knew that they were going to grow up and become adults one day and that they were going to have their own lives and their partners or whatever the case may be. And I wanted them to be able to hopefully make sound decisions based off of being able to think straight, for number one. Number two, what they saw growing up, I did not want it to be a decision maker. However, I wanted it to give them a basis as to what it was that they wanted or didn't want in their life, because that's one of the things that I actually did. I learned, honestly, from my parents, what I did and did not want for my marriage and for my adult life. I did. And I had the blessing of actually telling my mother that, and she did not get offended because I actually explained it to her. It wasn't an insult, but just part of my strategy of how I thought. So there was that. So again, entered on into in my 40s, honey, going on, doing me. I went out a couple of times. And I did, after, we did separated, all of those things, and got divorced and all that stuff. So I started to date, and just kind of getting into life a little bit. And I was like, honey, and of course, there are people, that want to supposedly become a suitor, if you will, or somebody, as we say these days, is trying to push up on me. And listen. What I have always been is consistent about who it is that I am. I've never felt that I need to formulate who it is that I am to what it is that's going on out here in the world. I've never felt that. I've always been my own person. I've always known exactly who Kim is. Even when I was their mama, his wife, her daughter, I still knew who I was. I knew who I was. And as a woman, what I wasn't going to do is play myself, and what I was not going to do is let nobody else play with me. Baby Solo worked so well for me because after being in a marriage for over 20 years, baby, I could be okay being all right by myself. And the one thing I felt, and I'm not going to hold y'all, is that I felt like, listen, I get out of this marriage, honey, I don't have to be Mrs. Nobody. I don't have to be Mrs. Nobody. I'm going to be me, and I'm going to finish raising this boy. That's what I got to do. Anything else is optional. It was optional. I was not preparing a table for nobody but me and my son. Okay? I did not have to worry about whether or not you was going to put enough money in the bank, what was going to happen, what's going on, are you doing something you don't have any business doing. I didn't have to worry about none of that. Because once my check hit the bank, they got it. They got it. I knew this is what we had to work with, So I just kind of took what I thought was a little time for just me, and I was in one other relationship that was like, it wasn't gonna work. It wasn't. I was like 8-9 months in that. Yeah. This ain't gonna work. The priority has to be me. It had to be. I will come second to no one. No, God, and then me. That's it. And I had to make a decision about that. That's what I knew that I had to do. I had already lived a life of allowing myself to be placed in someone's checklist. And then sometimes, like I say, even in my own checklist, I was at the bottom of my own list. That was not going to be my life anymore. And if that meant I needed to be by myself, then so be it. So I had to end that relationship because it just, no ma'am. And after that one, I entered into what became something wonderful, right? And I'm trying not to go to, but I'm just here for it, honey. So my husband and I, we had been friends for forever and ever. And he had been, doing life, and we've all done life, and honey, we've all had our ups and downs. We've got some stories to tell and all of those things. But the thing that I knew is that I needed somebody who knew exactly who they were, where it was they was going, what they was trying to do, and you needed to make sure that you had your ticket stamped, because I was not trying to lead, guide, or follow nobody who did not want to be on the train that I was on. I knew what train I was on and where I was going, because again, what I told y'all, I got this boy. I have to finish raising this boy. This boy got to get up out of here and become the man that he needed to be. That was my priority. So again, my husband and I had been friends for a long time. He had been in the marriage and all of the things. And I used to tell him, I said, listen, stay in that until you could not stay no more. I literally was telling him that, because again, at that time we were just friends. Stay till you can't, And then one way or the other, it'll have to work itself out. But do not just up and leave because he did not want to leave his very young daughter. So his life played itself out. I'm over here. I'm divorced now, so I'm just chilling. And it was so funny how we would have talks. We would talk sometime, and he would ask me about like being divorced and stuff like that. And I told him, I said, I just don't have to be Mrs. Nobody. I don't. I'm just good over here by myself. And he would be like, Kim, I know that's right, because I ain't going to hold you. He said, I don't know. He said, I'm just so over, what it is I got going on. And like I told him, stay until you can't, because there's nothing worse to me than somebody trying to talk somebody out of, out of their current situation. Like, none of us don't really have permission to tell somebody you need to do this or you need to do that, because nobody did that to me. So I wasn't going to do that to anyone. I know the feeling of being in that place of this just ain't working. When you hear that garage door come up and your skin just could literally just ooze right off your flesh, you be like, oh my God. Yes. Ugh. Because this person is now here. You can't be mad because this is where they live. This is where they live. But you just are in that place where you just don't want to be around this person, So anyway, and I got all off tangent. So this is all part of the story, and it'll all come together. So in my development, going through the things that I had gone through, I just started to realize, like I said, I can really be who I want to be, because even then in my 40s, it was always still this whole thing of like, well, what is 40 supposed to look like? Now, I remember my mom having these same conversations, and just growing through my 40s started more so than anything with just, who am I? Girl, who is she? Honey, she could be whoever she wanted to be. She could be whoever she wanted to be and still be respectful. She could still be classy, but she could be comfortable in her skin. She could be good where she was. Yes, I was starting life over. So what? So what? Yes, I had just moved out of an almost 5,000 square foot home. But I was living there with somebody I could not really almost not stand the sight of. So what? Every day. The one thing I remember that I wanted more than anything else, I said, I get to go into my house where I pay the mortgage, pay the rent and everything by myself. I get to be me every day. Judgment free. Every day. Every day. Every day, God saying, I get to be me. That is what set it off more than anything. Just knowing that I get to manage me. I get to manage me. And of course, this boy. Because that's what I was supposed to, you know what? I got to go get the boy. I got to go get the boy. I got to do this for the boy. That was my life for the longest. And when my girls were little, it was always, I had to get my girls. I can't do something. No, because the girls, I am Kieran Keon's mother, the girls. So 40s was enlightening. It was very enlightening. I journeyed through. I continued to get to know me. I felt better every day about who it was that I was. I journaled. I wrote out a lot of things. I sat with me. I sat with myself. More than anything, I sat with me and got to know me and what it was that I liked and didn't like. I got to know who it was I wanted to see every day. Every day. Every day. It didn't matter about nothing else. What do I want to see every day? What makes me happy? What makes me comfortable? How do I feel about me? Not about nobody around me. Everybody got their own situation and circumstances, honey. We all got to work out our own salvation. I dealt with me. Me. My son was really pretty easy at that point because he had become self-sufficient. So I got to focus on me a little bit. So I started changing up my wardrobe. I started changing my attitude and my mindset about things. There were some things that I had always done, rituals, traditions, you got to eat this on this day. You can't do this at that time. And I started examining Me, really from day one all the way up to my 40s. And it's like, what's the real reason why you can't do this or that? What? And it was so refreshing. It was, y'all, I promise you, it was like I started building a whole nother foundation for the woman that I wanted to become and who you see now. See, this didn't just happen. I didn't wake up one day and I was this person. This has been built over the years. This has been created over the years. This has been created over a series over the last, I want to say almost 2 decades. This has been built from day one, but I had to start with looking at me, not being insulted by what somebody else thought or what. I had to start by looking at me. I did. So my 40s became truly leaving those footprints. Because now my child is 40. You know, she'll be 40 this year, my oldest, you know, and just walking it out. I walked it out, you know, and my mom was still here at that time. So there were a lot of things that she and I still got to talk about. I've had the opportunity to talk about with other women, and just being able to feel free, you know, as a woman, for what it looked like for me. What it looked like for me. No cross comparison. Just me. That's the one thing that I would advise any woman to do for you. Take the comparisons out of it. You need to only look in your mirror. That's the only person you got to be checking for. Check your mirror. Check to see and make sure, are we cricket, child? Because what? I hope not. Okay, we straight. Check your mirror. Baby, that's a full-time job. That is a full-time job with overtime. Okay? And you need to add some shift differentials onto that. Because dealing with you, working on you, surviving the growth that comes with becoming is a job. But it's a job that I'm more than happy to work. This one, I'm more than happy to work. Because I get to reap all of the benefits. I go through all of the learning curves. I've gone through all of the trainings and certifications. I've gotten a degree. I've gotten a master's. I've gotten all of the things on the journey to become Kim. And I will continue to grow, learn, thrive in becoming Kim. Every single day. Every day. I don't have to stutter on that. I don't have to wonder about that because I am certifiably me, authentically me. I don't have to put on for anybody. And can't nobody check me on that because what you're going to get is the same Kim all the time. You're going to get the same person all the time. You don't get nobody else. You're going to get this person that you see right here. I don't have the budget to be nobody else, honey. I don't have it. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the mental capacity. And now with menopause, honey, we struggle to just make sure that we do our whole face routine every day. We do this when we're in the shower every day. Do I like this? Do I like that? My closet has seen so many cycles, honey, over the last, definitely 5-6 years. She's seen so many things. And now we're in the process of, curating. So now I'm curating Kim. That's what we're doing now. She's being curated. These are the timeless things. These are the things that, yes, I want to wear this. Yes, I want to keep this in my closet. I spend a little bit more coin on things now because for one, my children are all grown, so whatever I want, or whatever the case may be is what I do. I don't have any kids, And like I said, birthdays, whatever, Christmas and stuff like that, that's for the grandchildren. But every other day, it's for me. It's for me. It's for me. It is for me, honey. And I love it here. I do. It can be a lot sometimes because as Eve, meaning being as a woman, yeah, my thoughts, child, That's why I have to pray a lot. That's why I do my morning meditation and stuff like that. Like all those little things that I talk about at different times in these videos, I do it for a reason. I do it for a reason. And sometimes you have to watch what it is you're surrounding yourself with and what it is you put in your system. Because, baby, it will tear you all to pieces. Sometimes something as simple as who you surrounding yourself with and who you listening to every day, all day long. Texting, typing, talking, emailing, this, that. Honey, energy is neither lost or destroyed. It is merely transferred. So when you are sitting around with somebody else all the time, with all their confusion and all of their everything else, just know this. What they're doing in a lot of cases is data dumping. They dumping their data over here on you. And the sad part is they really don't want to resolve it. They just want to dump it somewhere else. And then you stuck with that. And ain't nothing you can do about it because it's not your situation. But they done dumped it off on you. And more times than a few, it's up here. Because then you're going to be thinking about it constantly. It's just the way we're made. It's the way we're made as women. It's almost like our estrogen hormone has a built-in cell that says, hey, take on everything else that everybody else got going on. Listen to them, absorb that, process it for days and days and days, months, weeks, years, even in some cases, on end. That person ain't going to do nothing about it. However, they keep coming over there to you for the same thing. Yeah. So 60 has allowed me to, no, I don't, what? Okay, yeah, I can't, because, see, it's a lot with that right there, and I don't want to. I don't want to. And what I realized, baby, at almost 60, I have earned it. I've earned it. I don't have the capacity. I don't have the capacity. Honey, I'm not even trying to get no, what's that extra storage? I would need terabytes in order to store the amount of data that people would come and leave with me. I am a person that is about solutions. If you ain't about a solution, then we'll need to keep talking about it. Because I will leave you with that. I will leave you with it. With absolutely no equivocation. None. I will leave you with that. You got it? Okay, cool. No problem. I don't let nobody come to me with their last minute situations and ordeals. Yeah, we don't do any of that. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you decided you want to do that? Oh, okay. You got it. Because you can't clearly need nothing from me. Because I was not a part of the decision making in that. So you got it. Child, it's fine. I'm finna go over here though. This is not my problem. It's not my problem. And that's anybody. Nobody is excluded from that list. Nobody. So, what being over 50 looks like? This is your example. Do with that information what you will, girls. Okay? I love y'all. I'm going to get off this here internet. I'm going to move on to finish, my curation goes on. Let's just say that. And I'm going to do better about posting my pictures and my daily, what I'm calling my little get-ups, honey. Me and my daily get-ups. Me and my daily get-ups. Because I have a good time getting dressed. I do. I love it. I love it even more now because it's just fun. I just have fun. You know, like I said, a life over 50, honey. I'm not worried about what nobody thinking about me. Think harder. That would be my suggestion to them. Think harder. Okay? Might get a headache, so make sure you get you a new bottle of some sort of headache medication because you're going to probably need it. Think harder, baby. Think harder. I'm finna go, y'all. I enjoyed y'all. It was a good time, girl. It was a good time. But in all things, in closing, I would ask you girls to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay? If we've reached the point of being hyped up, hype me up. Hype me up. And leave a comment below, please, and tell me what you think of these types of conversations. Because again, like I said, life over 50 looks different for everybody. And just know that you get to make the choices that you want to make for you, darling, not nobody else. Just you, girl. Just you. Just you. I promise you. It's a good time, baby. It's a good time. But I'm finna go, girl, and I'm gonna call y'all later. I'm gonna probably call y'all tomorrow. All right? I'm gonna talk to y'all. Y'all have a good evening.